Hey, and I was just interviewed by Keith Andrew.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Keith Andrew. It's Monday night, and you know what that means? Only on Peacock, it's WWE Monday Night Raw. If you're a fan of WWE, definitely check out Monday Night Raw. This past Saturday was the Elimination Chamber that's available on Peacock. That being said, my name is Keith Andrew. I'm here with a good friend. He already introduced himself in the beginning. So the first subject we're going to talk about is icebreakers. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself and the type of work that you
do. All right. Well, hey, good evening. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, my name's I'm Joe Ray. My full-time job is I'm a high school teacher. I teach math and personal finances. And the subject that most people, and I say most, I mean many people. Every time I mention math, it's like I got the plague, I got pariah. I'm typhoid Joe. So but this year I've been teaching. I teach personal finances to high school kids, and teach them basically how not to be young, dumb, and broke. And that's my goal. But part time, throughout the week, I do a not TV show, but a radio show on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern on WPAT 930am.com, which comes out live on WPAT 930 AM in New York City and Paterson, New Jersey. And on top of all that, as if I don't have enough time to do, and on top of my tutoring on the side, when my fourth hand is free, I'm also an actor. I am on IMDb under Joe Ray. I've played Babe Ruth. I've played a dad. I played a serial killer or a psychopath. I don't know. I've done a lot. So playing the bad guy is fun. It is, but being the cheesy dad, it's all right. But those are many of the things that I do. So that's under my repertoire.
No, absolutely. And hey, are you a wrestling fan?
Oh my gosh. I grew up in, I come from I was born in 1970, so I grew up in the 70s with Bob Backlund, Bruno Sammartino, Andre the Giant, the Iron Sheik. I am a real American. All that. I've been through all that mess. And I got turned on to the WCW when TBS and TNT would have it on Saturday mornings with the Four Horsemen. It's like the Four Horsemen and Arn Anderson, those guys. I will tell you, I wrestled for a year, but on top of all that, my cousins and my brothers and I would wrestle in the backyard, and we practiced those moves. And the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal were my favorite. And so we would play football, and we would clothesline people on purpose when we played pickup just to see if it worked. And it works, and it's painful. And I will tell you that the figure four leg lock with Greg the Hammer Valentine, whoo, it hurts. And
it does.
And my cousin put the Tommy, our favorite move was the Cobra Clutch with Sergeant Slaughter. He put that on me. I had to tap out so quick because I was seeing dark. Come on, bro. Let me go. Big fan.
I'm the youngest out of four brothers and one sister, but the brother before me, we used to be close, but that's a long story. But we used to reenact wrestling moves. So he didn't put the sharpshooter on right. So he didn't wait till I was completely laid down. He waited till I was halfway. So when he turned me over, my head was kind of like this, like, are you trying to break my neck?
Right.
But then he tried to figure forelock. It's like, oh, counter it. We both rolled over. It hurt so freaking much.
it is definitely what was the other one? The Boston Crab. It was just a push up. Yeah, all those things. Yeah. What we do is we would push when my mother would go shopping, she'd say, all right, you boys behave. And we're like, okay, whatever. And that happened to be the year that we were on the wrestling team, and we pushed all the furniture back and would jump off the top and we pretend it was a turnbuckle and jump off the top of the couch. And Unfortunately, I put my brother in the Boston Crab and ran his face across the rug, and he had a little burn. And of course, we try to explain that. So, I got grounded for a week. I just say that, but it was fun, you know.
No, I understand. Hey, it's a good exercise.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, our neighbor, and I'm going to admit this on screen because I've admitted it before. Our neighbor was our landlord. So we were forced to let his daughter play. She'd come over and play football. We had to let her play football with all the boys. She's who we practiced the clothesline. That was we're like, let her have. She wanted the ball. All right, let her have the ball. Pick her up. Boom. That was it. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. But yeah, love wrestling. Big fan. I don't get to watch it as much as I used to, but I still follow around. I mean, locally down here, we've got there's a wrestler goes by, I think it's Marina. She's like in her late 20s. And but just watching I went to a Royal Rumble in Tampa.
Oh, nice.
And, oh, and watching the just watching all the just that wrestling and seeing the newer faces. And I didn't quite have all the names. I just know I saw this 7 foot tall black dude and I went, "Who's that? Holy cow." He had his little white partner, and they were against the guys that I guess they play a saxophone on the side or something, and but just I'm getting used to some of the names and again and like who did I just see online, like Dakota Kai, and of course Triple H is now part of with Stephanie McMahon, and all those guys. Just trying to get back into it. It's finding the time has always been my issue, but yeah, having grown up, love wrestling, love just. But my dream is actually this, um, is to be either an announcer or a manager, on the side, be one of those characters. I could definitely do that because that's I love just role playing. I just love having fun. You go out there and talking trash and walking out to the music, just like, hey, doing the strut, like who used to do that big strut? Brutus Beefcake used to strut, and those guys. So
Or Scott Hall.
yeah, just watching those guys do their thing, and of course not doing the Rick Rude thing. I'm good there. Or Jake the Snake. I'm good.
Who knows? If you're interested, maybe we can work together.
Sure. Yeah, because I would
But the reason
love
I bring up wrestling is because the more I look at you, you can beat the stunt double for its real name's Glenn Jacobs, but you can be
okay.
the stunt double for Kane.
Kane. I'm about to all right. I'm just gonna have to get a little more jacked up. But yeah. I mean, I've started working out harder. Like, hey, why not? Hey, let's have fun.
But that's the next subject I want to talk to you about. He was a good wrestler. I kind of lost respect for him when he said he was an anti-vaxxer, but
Right.
whatever. That's go eat your own. Blow smoke out of your ass and whatever. But he was one. Kane is one of the great wrestlers. But what's that being a good segue? How has the coronavirus impacted your life? And do you see life in a different point of view?
Well, as a teacher, the coronavirus it didn't bother me so much. I mean, as far as personally, like physically, because I mean, where I am in Central Florida, we were the heat, the sun, the sunshine. It was outside. It was springtime. Well, springtime for up north, which is the beginning of summer for parts of Florida, and it didn't really impact me except online as a teacher. I was, we had to go online, and the kids weren't learning as well. And when I have 150 students, they're supposed to be online a week, and only 9 show up. Impacts education, and we're going to see the effects of that probably for. We were talking about that this past week or last week. Probably another. Let's see. So we're talking 2020 to 2032. We're probably going to see the impact to about 2032 on the impact of this. It's got to cycle itself out for the kids who are online, and it may not take that long, but we do our best. But me personally, I mean, I lost a lot of tutoring money. I had $10,000 in acting lined up. I lost all the acting, and that was going to go into more gigs, so that detoured that part. Um, but just personally, not really so much. I was in my, when they shut us, in Florida here, it's like,
put everything online, and you're going to force me to go outside and be in the sunshine? Okay, sure. Whatever. And that's what I did. I went to the beach. I went to the beach more. I walked 7 miles every Sunday, up and back. And yeah, I got to the beach more that summer than I think I had in the last 10 years before that. So yeah, if you're gonna say impact, it was a positive impact for me. But
No, for
but
me
for some of
too.
my relatives, go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say for some of my relatives, I did have some people who got sick, and it was like, and we're looking at some of the things, and then I have some opinions about just the way that they were, because I said, look, some of the people that I know who took some of the cures that people didn't said they shouldn't have taken, I was like, and they got better. And I said, well, it worked. What are we crying about? And then just seeing some of the relatives who, rather than being flat, elevated or flat on their back and got sick faster and pneumonia set in. And I have some, thoughts about that. I'm not a medicine guy, but when you see when you see patterns, I
Right.
am an analytical guy. When I see patterns in math, I see something. When I see patterns in life, I'm like, something ain't right. So that's, and then, but overall, I'm good. I was blessed. The only thing I got that year, I did get an ear infection that stopped up, and I got a fever, and of course, I had to go get the tests because they want to make sure I didn't have, COVID or whatever. I was like, okay, and it was just an ear infection that backed up, and I got a fever and a couple of days of antibiotics. I was solid, overall, but I've been blessed with good health, so I'll take it. Plus, I take a lot of vitamins and keep moving, keep moving.
No, I agree. And you can say anything and express yourself as long as you're happy and having a good time. That's all that really matters.
Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you two things on the subject, if you don't mind for
Sure.
asking.
Sure.
Do you like the poorly educated?
Do I like the what? The
The po-
poorly educated?
yes.
The poorly educated. Uh, what signifies poorly educated? That varies. As an educator, the poorly
I
educated are the people who don't show up
agree
to
with
listen,
you. And how,
or who. Go ahead.
oh, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, or my other version of the poorly educated is those people who keep interrupting to not listen, and they don't take on other views. Because I'm in education, so to me, my children, the ones who are poorly educated, are the ones who don't show up, who don't apply what they learn, don't apply the teaching. That's poorly educated.
That's true. You can't fake stupid, but you can numb it with a 2x4.
For real.
How do you feel about Linda McMahon being in charge of the Board of Education?
Different. There's a meme out there, and I was like, oh, if we could only, it said if she put in it, and it shows a teacher suplexing a child. And I went, can we? Really? Because there are days. No, I won't do that. I'm not. I'm a peaceful guy. I'm diplomatic. It's different. Well, so you got to see it as you know I'm kind of mixed. I know that the people in charge of education have always said, well, put an educator in charge of education. And I'm like, okay. But education, when I see these top positions, um, they're more, I know President Trump is business minded. In education, yes, it is a business and we have to make sure the resources. So why not put somebody it's almost like you got to bring somebody from the outside. And it's not that who's been very successful. Um, I said, well, let's see how it goes, right? I mean, I can look back at some of the people who've been in charge of. I'm going to go back to Arnie. What's his name? Specter. Anyway, the guy from Chicago who was under President Obama. Uh, that guy, and he was in charge of Chicago Public Schools, which had a major problem, education wise, success wise, so forth. But now, as I look across the board history, I go, okay, well, we put that guy in. Okay, we've had some people in charge of some things why were they in charge? But simultaneously, I'm like, okay, it's a different perspective. It's a business perspective, but she's been very successful. So let's bring the success in and let her, because it's going to be a learning curve for her as far because it's education and how that works. And of course, combine that with the laws that come in with education and federal and all that stuff. So let's see where it goes. Um, I don't have an opinion right now, one way or another. I was shocked. I was like, really? WWE? But simultaneously, think about it like this. I said, that's a big plug for the WWE because now you've got a big farming, I call it, you've got perspective. I call it farm. You got a farm system of future fans. If you can take the WWE, connect, I will take the job. I'll be part of this. Throw me in, baby, because as an educator, I will help the WWE connect with the education system, et cetera. And I would love to be an ambassador on both sides. Because the pay is probably gonna be triple what I make, or quadruple. But take the W. Is an idea. Take the WWE, merge it with the education system, bring in these big guys. Right? You can connect them with the wrestling teams of the high schools and the middle schools and get kids psyched up again about wrestling because you see wrestling programs just falter where it's like, you got 10 kids on a wrestling team and like nobody's excited about wrestling because it's like, oh, it's wrestling, whatever. You might bring men and women, right? Bring in more boys, more girls because there's a lot of girls wrestling teams. Connect them, let them be visitors into the school and say, hey, like, hey, stay in school, boy. So, bring in the big boy, Triple H. Let them walk around like, hey, take the
That
truant
is a
kid.
good idea.
So merge it. Instead of saying, "Oh, I hate this, I hate that," merge it. Not all a triple. I know not all WWE supports. I know there's a wide variety of views on a lot of things. So why not play with it, merge it together, bring it into the education system, let them be visitors and speakers and coaches and mentor, whatever, and say, okay, because you don't know what someone that big, kids love um, famous people. Well, rather than be the guys that can barely speak in English, a sentence they mumble with the mouth, let's get these guys that are all jacked up. And what boy is not going to look at a pretty girl like Dakota
True.
Kai? It's like, oh, look at that. Or who's not going to, who's going to look at Triple H and go, man, dude, I want to be jacked like that. They're going to, and it may change some lives. We don't know, but every time you see people come into the system from the outside who are successful and don't have that crazy outside life,
Right.
change happens, and you don't know who you're going to inspire. So if
There's
education is
a
about inspiration, bring them in.
there's a meme where you see Triple H right behind Wyndham McMahon. He just had some water, and he's just eyes going back and forth, and he's fighting off the urge and just going. That would be really funny about.
Right. It's like bring in Triple H, bring in Stephanie McMahon, bring in Linda obviously is there. Um, have Vince Vince McMahon come, whatever. Just bring in all these people who bring in the lineage, bring in the current wrestlers like from all the because I mean, could you imagine back in the day of like Kamala or King Kong Bundy? You stay in school, while they're eating
Oh,
while they're eating their food, or Andre the Giant,
yeah.
talking to whatever. But Hulk Hogan's down here in Florida, so um, just seeing these guys come out, just because like he's a local, people see him, but um, Jimmy Hart, Mouth of the South, talking about business, just bring in these guys from old and conversion with the new, but bring in of course they want to see the newer people. They don't want to see the older folks. So obviously, I know that I'm 54, and if I talk about something from 1970, they're like, "What? Never mind."
Well,
So
think about it. You're on a wrestling team. You
yeah,
have the Creed brothers who are brand new. There's
right,
Kurt Angle. He likes to say he won the gold medal with a broken freaking neck. You have
right,
Kurt Angle. You have Ken Shamrock, Bret Hart, if he was still
right,
alive, Owen Hart.
right,
Chris Jericho. There's so many amateur wrestlers. But I say, hey, come in and you can inspire the high school team or the college team, and then you can benefit off it.
right. What I would like to see is how about the War Raiders? How about those guys? So it's like, hey, you guys, just bring in some crew. Like, Ray Ripley would probably turn some, that'd be interesting.
I,
or yeah, anybody, Dragon Lee, or who's the guy? Who's the Spanish one? I forgot.
oh, right.
Mysterio, right? Mysterio.
Yes.
Yeah,
You
and
think
then
this
of
is
course,
funny.
right, Obafemi, Stephanie Vasquez. Bring in these people, Tony D'Angelo. Just pump them in and say, hey, and of course Akira Tozawa, whatever. Just bring them all in. Have a little crew come in, and then have them do a little presentation in the school system. I'm like, I would love to be the host. I mean, if I could get that connection to my high school and say, let's get ready to rumble. And then here we go. How about
You know,
you?
it'd be really, there's a funny story where Andre Hogan he says Andre hated Randy Savage because he used to wear baby oil. So there's a time where Andre's playing cards and Randy come in, ooh, tell me something, big brother, big boss,
Yeah.
what are we gonna do for a match? And Andre stops he's playing cards. He lowers the cards, looks and says, no baby oil, no. And there's another part where the match where he turns and says, this is for you, Elizabeth. Whack.
Right.
I know Andre just hated Randy Savage. He used to
Yeah,
rip
it
his
was.
hair out of his head.
Oh yeah. We would just go, what, we walk around like, what? We go real deep and try to do it. I got pretty good at it once, but yeah, it's just watching those guys and see it like when I look at somebody like Asuka, who because we have a lot. I cannot tell you how many children love, not that she's, but anime, and they're like,
Yes.
oh, and there's a character, and then she'd come in with all, come in with the paint and so forth, and then jump off the top bleacher, whatever, But just to see these guys uh, come in now, I've seen, of course, I think I've seen Booker T a couple years ago in Tampa. He was hosting. He was wearing a suit, so it was like him and some little, I forgot who the lady was, but it was McMahon. It was Shane McMahon and the other. There was another McMahon brother. I forgot, but Shane wrestled that night and didn't go well. Well, it's like you can't a cage match, man. As a first of all, when I see your gear, I'm like, you're done. So it was his. I forgot who his. He had this running feud with, but yeah, that guy took care of him quick. Russian guy, I think.
Oh, Vladimir Kozlov.
I think so. I think so. I just know it was a couple years ago, but somebody like Brock Lesnar runs it with, comes in with no neck. Go to get your class. Oh, well, there's your new dean. We just had these guys be a dean for a couple of days. We'd be all right. They'd be looking for him under every corner.
But seriously, there's no reason why they can't have like honestly for wrestling teams. Why can't you just have Kurt Angle or any amateur wrestler come in? Then you
Right,
get people interested. It's like, hey, I was like you at one time, and I went on and I went to the Olympics. Or for
right,
the women's team, you had Sonya Deville, who's now doing MMA. I was like you, but or Harvey Specter, life is
yeah,
like this. I like this. And it's come in as motivate people, but that's the biggest thing. It's like people don't give a shit, and then you're trying to educate people where they're like, "Oh, the poorly educated is one of my favorites." And there
right.
was a video recently um, I saw they're now paying. Well, your teacher, you should know if this is true or not. Is there a $500 fine if students use their cell phones in class?
Not in my district. I've never heard it, and I think that's kind of illegal. Um, yeah, it's kind of yeah, it's to fine a student for using class. I mean, you can have it taken away,
Right.
have them put it up, etc. Like, I mean, if that were true, I'd be rich. I would retire.
But
So,
the
so
reason I bring it up is because most of the kids, and you know, because you're a teacher, they always sit there with their phones in their hand. So it's kind of like, can't we just roll back now? I'm 37. If you go back 20 years, can we go back 30 years? You go to class and you I give you an example. I know a person who had a friend. who used to go to class in a business suit with a computer. And this is like 2001. But what's funny about that now, when you go to college, they tell you you have to have an iPad, you have to have a computer.
Yeah.
So if you go back, what, 24 years ago,
Yeah.
it's funny how you look at something, well, this is stupid, to maybe he's was ahead of its time.
Right. Yeah. Because I taught, well, 24 years ago, was when I was started teaching in Florida, like 2000, 2001 school year. And I tried to get down as much as possible. And of course, the internet was it was still doing its thing. That if you type one wrong address, you could end up, you don't know where. Um, but but when the laptop was you had to have like a certain amount of money.
Right.
And so, but it was, and we were just being introduced to smart board and touch boards, and now I use a touch board every day. Now it's nothing. But 24 years ago, I was like, oh wow, there's this new thing, and it actually saves data. What's this board? And I'd rather have that. And now the kids have Chromebooks or laptops, and we use those. But what I'm also seeing is it's needs a balance. I make my kids use books. They have to read out of books. They have to write out of books. I make them write by hand. I know a lot of them are like, can I type? I'm like, no, I want this handwritten. Because that dexterity, and what we're seeing is the kids are becoming overabundant, over reliant upon either laptops, Chromebooks, electronic devices, and where we're seeing we're seeing the other way. Like they might be great at playing electronics, but even electronic digital literacy has
Right.
its limitations, as well as it's impacting their reading. It's impacting, and who knows? If I'm hearing the statistics, the increase of the amount of need for eyeglasses, for close, because they're too close to the screen, because they always got their phone right up in their face, and then the carpal, and then I tell my students now, say you all need to become physical therapists and chiropractors, because all these kids, this phone neck thing, I'm like, I get sore, so I have to I just put my phone away. I'll just do this, right? And then, or expand whatever, and then play the computer. But now there's just a need for the physical book. There needs, we need to have their hands on a book or something, reading something, just having something physical, because that dexterity of writing actually, and the connecting, actually it's better to the brain as far as literacy. And that's already been proven. It's not like but we're seeing a diminishing of reading literacy levels. Well, because kids are so stuck on digital and they're used to this, and we start kids see children on devices at 2 years old. It's like get them outside, go outside.
No, absolutely. About wrapping up the show, I do want to say one thing. Their Nickelodeon used to do it back in '06, or when was it, '06, 5 or 4? It might as well, maybe it was '02 and '03.
Right.
Backwards. But they would say it's a natural day of play, and they would block out the whole station and say we're not coming back until 8 o'clock at night. So every time you want the Nickelodeon, it says go out and play. And then like, no, that's really a good idea.
I did that. Yeah, my kids, when I had children here, yeah. Well, I meant go outside anyway. I was like, turn on TV, go get outside, and they like to go outside. Go outside. So,
but I do want to talk to you off the air. But I want you to be brutally honest. When I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what made you say yes? How do you feel now, and would you recommend it?
what made me say yes was, you were trying to build. I'm trying to, I'm a talk show host too. I know we're all trying to build. We need to connect. I'm like, well, let's see where you're at. You're up in New York, right? So,
Yes.
So yeah, I'm like, let's connect. That's what made me say yes. And I'm like, give all these people a chance, because we're not the famous people. We're not making 20 million, but we're building in the network, and who knows where it's going to go from here.
And
yes, I recommend it.
And if you're interested, I would love to be a guest on your show.
Oh, absolutely. I will definitely set that up.
But I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But for our fans who are watching, our goal is to reach 300 to 500, 300 and 500 views. I used to say 500 to 1,000, but maybe I'm stretching a little too high. But now our goal is 300 to 500. This episode will be shared on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all social medias. By being a guest on the Keith Fanju Network, you don't have to have a learning disability. You're supporting a talk show host with a disability. But I want to say thank you for being a guest on our show. I can't wait for part 2. And until we meet again, I catch you later. Thank you, and have a good night.
Supporting me, and my message is all